Starting off with all praises and glorification is given up to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh is the true name of the Most High. Bahasham means in the Hebrew, translated in the name, and Yahweh Shai is the servant, one of the saviors, and the first begotten son of the Most High. In addition, I want to give double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Also salutations, props, honors to you brothers who labor in sincerity, diligence, and faith to the best of your abilities in serving this sound doctrine, which is the true understanding of the Holy Scriptures in the Bible of and from the Most High, which he has given down to his servants, beginning with the elders of GMS, to be really the only Hebrew Israelite camp, primarily I would say, really the primary Israelite camp pushing the sound doctrine. You know, you got a lot of bootleg camps out there, and if they're not following the understandings and the teachings of GMS, then, you know, basically they're going off. And they shouldn't be out there teaching the Bible no way. They're not pushing sound doctrine. Alright? So you brothers that are coming into the knowledge of this truth, stick with GMS and stay away from strange doctrines which comes from all these bootleg Hebrew Israelite camps. Anyway, I want to go into the lesson, which is going to be titled The Confusion of Face Israelites, or Understanding the Confusion of Face Israelites. I'm probably going to go with the first one. And the meaning to the title of this lesson is basically that you have Israelites who have in physical appearance that compares to the non-Israelites. All right, the heathens, the heathenist nations, the Gentiles who are outside the fold, outside the flock, outside the blessings, outside the covenant, outside of the love and light which comes from the Most High, bestowed only upon his chosen nation of people, which are the Hebrew Israelites. So let's go ahead, let's get into this lesson. Let's get into this lesson right away. The first book we're going to go and get into is going to be Daniel's, the 9th chapter, beginning with the 7th verse. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 7. It says, O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee. The word righteousness is basically synonymous with to be keeping the commandments. All right, to be correct, to be pure, to be holy, to be good. The opposite of righteousness is to basically be wicked, or to commit wickedness, which wickedness means to be evil, it means to be wrong, and it simply means to commit sins, transgressions, trespasses, iniquity. Okay, so righteousness, keeping the commandments, the holy and pureness belongs to the Lord. It belongs to the Most High, and it belongs to his first begotten son, his first creation, who is Yahweh Shai. So reading on, it says, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven them, because of the trespass, which is sin, that they have trespassed against thee. So one of the key terms in this is, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries where thou hast driven them. So the Most High is holy, pure, and righteous, but as all creation, including the Most High's only chosen people, his only selected nation out of all the people of the earth, we're imperfect and we went off, as you read down here in Daniel's. So the curse that was bestowed upon them was the confusion of faces. Key word, and that are far off through all the countries whither thou hast driven them. They were driven through all the countries. Being in other countries, they were among the ethnic likes of the Asians, the Chinese, the Japanese, Korea, Mongolia, and the rest of Southeast Asia, such as Vietnam and Cambodia. You had Israelites that were scattered into the near of the land, such as into areas where you had the Ishmaelites and other Shemitic Arabian people, like in Saudi Arabia, like in the Arabian Emirates, in Yemen, in Syria, Lebanon, in Armenia, and Turkey, and Pakistan, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. All those Asian countries over there that were scattered over there into the Mediterranean and Asia Minor, which is a part of those Arabian and also European countries, such as Croatia and Serbia, and all those other countries nearby. You head further towards the Mediterranean. You got Italy, you got Greece. Eventually, you have Spain and Portugal. You have into the African countries: South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, North Africa. You have going into the Pacific Islands that are out there in the Pacific Ocean, into the far west and the borders of the far eastern hemisphere. All right. So basically, you have Israelites that are scattered into all lands, into all countries, and their curse was to be of the confusion of faces. That confusion of face basically was that Israel, after being mingled among the other nations, reproducing with their woman, you were going to have the confusion of face curse that was set upon them, which basically means that they look just like heathens. They look like the same Gentile nations that are beneath Israel, but yet and still, to this day, they are Israelites. But to this day, with the confusion of face effect on them. So verse 8, O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee. And you have that to this day, man. You have the Latin tribes, which is predominantly the northern kingdom of Israel. All right, the 9 tribes. And the Latin tribes, they look like, a bunch of Arabians, Caucasians. Hell, some even look Hamitic for the Afro-Latins, the Afro-Latinos, Latinas. And hell, some of them look like they're Mongoloid. Some of them look like they're Asian. Some look like they're Chinese or Southeast Asian. But yet and still, they're still Israelites, among that banner of being of the confusion of face. So let me get a precept real quick. The Lord is righteous, and he said, if you want to act like the heathens, you want to live among them and be friendly with them and adopt their customs, their traditions, you basically want to live their lifestyle, well, you're still going to be my people. I'm going to put it so bad upon you that you look just like the same heathens that hate you and that abhor you and abhor myself. And to look like them is a shame. Because Israel originally didn't look like a damn Moabite, a damn Chinese person, a damn Korean. Originally, Israelite didn't look like no damn Hamite. They didn't like no damn native of Africa. But you have Israelites to this day that look like Africans among the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, but especially among the southern kingdom. All right, you got the tribe of Levi, the so-called Haitians, and they look like, for a great part, a bunch of Hamites. Some of them look like Edomites. All right, well, a lot of them look like Edomites, but in particular the Haitian people whose roots go even into Louisiana, into North America, into the States. You got a lot of them that look like Caucasians, man. All right, whether they're considered Creole or they're considered Cajun. But let me get to this precept. This is Psalms 106, verse 35. It says, "But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works." The word, the people that were, was referring to Israel. When you read up in this chapter, this whole chapter was basically talking about Israel and their history. So the Israelites were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. Mingle means that they were living among them. They were dwelling among them. They were inhabiting land among them. And that's how they learned their works. They learned the way of the heathen because they were put into captivity into those different heathen nation lands. Let me go get a precept real quick. I'm going to read it off a video with my Bible. I'm going to go ahead and pour this real quick. This is Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verse 25. "The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth." So all kingdoms is basically what you would represent today as countries. They were scattered among all people into all countries of the earth. So when it says they were mingled among the heathen right here at the 35th verse of Psalms 106, that means they were living among them and learned their works, means to learn their traditions. And when you have people mingled together, you're going to have interbreeding, or in modern day popular term, interracial breeding, interracial relationships. That's what happened among Israel and the heathens. Men and women, women and men. You have that today here in America. So it was the same thing back in the ancient world. Ecclesiastes 1:9 ain't nothing new under the sun. But what makes you an Israelite is your father's genealogy, like it tells you in Genesis, the 1st chapter, verse 11 to 12, because only the man produces the sperm, the semen. And that's another lesson. That'll be the next lesson, Lord willing, to follow up after this, either later on tonight or possibly tomorrow, with a few more lessons I plan to kick out. This is Jeremiah, the 12th chapter, verse 9. It says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird." This is the Most High speaking through his prophet Jeremiah. "The birds round about her are against her. Come ye assemble, all the beasts of the field come to devour." When you read the Bible, the Most High speaks parabolically, he speaks symbolically, he speaks in metaphors, he speaks in analogies, he uses basically statements like in similes to use things that are not related, but he could use as great comparisons, which is essentially basically a way to help people understand something when there is confusion about it, when it's complex to them. When you do a comparison, that's a way to easily simplify something for the understanding of a person who may not grasp and has a complex time of comprehending what is being told to them, with such information. So the Most High's heritage is the nation of Israel, and it's unto him as a speckled bird, a bird that has different colors on it. There's different designs and patterns on it. Every design and color and pattern on certain birds, like parakeets. You got some canary type birds. Hell, you even have pigeons who have different colors on them. You'll have a pigeon that's gray with black and white and like a purplish hue to it. So the Most High is saying that his heritage is unique because in appearance it's different. It's not just one simple type. It's just not all the same. There's different characteristics about his heritage. And that's why he compared it to a speckled bird. The next precept I'm going to go ahead and get real quick. It's going to be, I don't know why it didn't come up. I had everything all prepared. It's going to be in the book of 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter, verse 7. This is bugging right now. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. All right, man. It's Satan right here, but it's all right. I mean, I typed it in, but it's trying to tell me that it's not trying to bring it up. Did that earlier when I was searching up something on the blue letter. All right, this is the book of First Samuel's. Oh man, what the hell? Your brothers, bear with me for a second. Okay, I see how it is. You deal with the blue letter, you have to come correct with the blue letter. You gotta do everything to the T of how the blue letter wants it done. But that's alright though. You know, the Most High, his word ain't gonna go out void, so let's continue with this lesson. This is First Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. It says, "But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not unto his countenance." This is going back into the historical account when King David was sought out by his servant Samuel among the household of David's father, of I believe of his 7 sons, who was basically going to be replacing the wicked King Saul as the new king over all the nation of Israel. All right, and pretty much this is when it was brought about of King David, and this was concerning King David. So again, the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance. The word countenance basically or simply means your facial structure, a face, the face of a person. Look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. You know, because the first original brother that Samuel went to, it was a very tall guy. This brother that was of King David happened to be very tall and was a good stature. But the Most High had spoke to Samuel in his mind, in his spirit, in his conscience, you know, knowing that's not the guy who I want, basically. That's what he was saying. Don't look at him for his physical appearance. That's not how I'm going off on what I want to choose him on. I'm not going on his physical feats. So it says, because I have refused him, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. You know, the Lord chose the youngest son out of all of the brothers. Well, he chose the youngest son out of all of the children of King David's father's line, man. He chose the youngest one. You know, the youngest one is going to be the smallest one. Most of the time, that's how it is. You know. So King David was the smallest one. He was like the, how you would say in terms nowadays, like the runt of the litter. They talk about like the most smallest puppy, which is usually the last puppy that's born. Not comparing King David unto a dog. You know, not like, you know, saying that he's a dog in disrespect, but just as the term or the saying goes, King David, he was the smallest man among them, or the smallest boy among them, and that's who the Most High had chose. So the thing is, when you apply that to this doctrine concerning the confusion of faces, the Most High, he don't choose who's going to be his elect, who's going to be his servant, who's going to be his people by their outward physical appearance. He chooses them by their spirit within. And when you come to the true understanding of what a spirit is, the essence of a spirit is energy. If you know anything about science, energy never bounds and never fully dissipates. Energy is basically everlasting. It's forever, man. It transfers from one frequency, one high rate and volume, unto another. Whether it expands or it slowly diminishes, it's still there regardless. Especially if it diminishes, it's still there regardless. Okay? But no, if it expands, then it's obviously there. But if it diminishes, it's still there. So let's continue. The Most High did not choose, and He does not want brothers to even go ahead when they're on the highways or when they're dealing with people, to deal with people out of their physical appearance. I mean, it's one thing if the guy is wearing some goddamn dunk-the-dungs outside with a superhero cape on, and he got a damn mask on talking about he's a fucking superhero, then that's okay. All right, you could go ahead and judge off by that. You could judge that. You could judge that guy and say that he is not needed to be taught anything. If a guy is out there and this piece of shit is wearing some Daisy Dukes, then you're not to communicate with him concerning the truth. You know? I don't think you should even tell his ass to repent, even though the scriptures do say that the only sin that is not forgiven is the sin of blasphemy. You know, but you know, a guy like that would more likely be a waste of goddamn time, man. But we don't go ahead and judge off physical appearance. So if a person you're dealing with, you're interacting with, whether it's on the highways and byways, or whether you end up having to talk with him concerning the scriptures and breaking it down to him, he happens to look like an Edomite, a Caucasian. He happens to look like an Arabian, an Ishmaelite, a Hamite, an African, or whatever nation for that matter, Moabites, Ammonites, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, and other Asians. If they come at you correctly and they have a sense of zeal, like they believe in the Most High, or they believe in the Bible, or let's say they don't even believe in the Bible, but they believe that there's a higher power, a single entity, you know, deal with them cordially, deal with them, you know, bearingly, unless they happen to go off and just utter certain wickedness, and you come to have a conclusion about them that they're hard-headed and they won't be taught, then you leave them be. But if they come respectful, then you deal with them, man. You know, I've seen different brothers in different camps that dealt with people on the highways who were Israelites but looked like other nations, and a lot of brothers instantly from the jump were very dismissing, man. They were already condemning them, saying that they were heathens, they're gonna go in slavery, that they're wicked and liars because they're the devil. But the person they were condemning were Israelites, and a lot of the time they weren't really disagreeing a lot, man. You know, if you probably would have came at that person in a more respectful manner, disregarding the fact that they may look like heathens, but the spirit was showing zeal, you could have dealt with them, man, and possibly would have gained the brother over. But that's a lesson learned. That's what brothers are supposed to do. You know, so that's like a spiritual warning, man. The Most High, He wants us to deal cordially and accordingly and bearingly with people, even if they look like heathens. We're still supposed to bear. All right. This is the book of Matthew, the 13th chapter, starting at the 24th verse. It says, another parable put He forth unto them. And the word parable is synonymous with an allegory and analogy, using elements which are not related but have some characteristics that can compare and make it simplified when you're trying to make an example out of something. Basically what I was saying earlier, man. You can have a greater comprehension over something when you bring forth a parable to help compare and contrast it. Another parable put He forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. Because when you got wheat and you got tares, tares look just like wheat. You could easily mistake and confuse them, man. You can mistake one over the other. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then have it tares? He said unto them, an enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, without then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let them both grow together unto the harvest, and in the time of the harvest will I say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, and gather the wheat into my barn. So this parable is twofold. This is talking about among the Israelites how you have good brothers and you have bad brothers that are secretly among brothers in these congregations. that are pushing this truth within the truth. Then you got the wheats and the tares, where you have people that look like Israelites, but they're wicked. And then you have people who don't even look like Israelites. They look like other nations, but they're still Israelites though. You know, that's why a few years ago, brothers came up with the term Wheaties when we came to describe a lot of the confusion of faces that look like Edomites. You know, brothers had a list. I think back on that Facebook stuff, where you had the brother had a list of Israelites. I think he had inside the list he had actors like George Clooney. He had Eminem. I think he had Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had a few other guys like Leonardo DiCaprio, a couple other guys that look like Edomites, that look like Caucasians, they look like what we would call the devil, but they were in all actuality Israelite tribesmen that were among the confusion of face banner, among the heathens, born and raised among them, the Gentiles, the non-Israelite Gentiles that is. And if you didn't know, just going by your carnal sense with your naked physical eye, you would consider them heathens, even though by all technicality and actuality, they are the nation of Israel. And it could possibly be among the 144,000 fold of the elect, which are the only Israelites that are going to be made exempt from the destruction to come at the end of this current world war within. So that's what that parable in Matthew the 13th chapter, referring to the wheats and the tares, is explaining. This is the book of the first epistle of John, not St. John, but the first epistle of John, which is around the back of the Bible, close to Revelations in the book of Peter's. The first epistle of John, chapter 4, verse 1. It says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of the Most High power," because God simply means power in Hebrew, Allah, which that power, the Most High power name is Yahweh, the only God, the true power, the only power, because many false prophets. Let me start from the top. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but the spirits, whether they are of the Most High power. That's a colon right there, because it goes into detail, right? Because many false prophets are going out into the world. Now, this scripture right here applies to a lot of topics, but to apply it to the confusion of faces, which we're on topic on right now, if you have a problem with discerning the confusion of face, because some confusion of faces are easy to spot, man. Like, you know, you got singers like Justin Timberlake and Robin Thicke. You could tell they're Israelites because they sing real soulful. That's one of the character traits of Israel. Deuteronomy 7:6 says they're going to be the greatest people upon the earth above all other nations. A peculiar people, a special, unique people unto the Most High. Roughly paraphrasing part of that scripture I just quoted. You know, so when you see Israelites that are in the world of sports and entertainment, just music, entertainment, and all that, you know, when you see an Israelite that looks like another nation and he's whooping an Israelite who looks like your typical Israelite, a so-called black guy, a so-called Latino guy, like, you know, let's use an example. You have Gennady Golovkin, or you have Sergey Kovalev, or you have the Klitschko brothers, or you have Lomachenko, or you have Provodnikov, or you have Potovkin, or you have what's the other guy, Beterbiev. Those are a bunch of Russian fighters in the world of boxing, who, how Jake say on the West Coast, got them hands. You know, they some hard punching, very good technique having boxers. When you see them whooping Negro asses and Latino asses, you got to understand that those aren't your average so-called white people. They look like they're so-called white, but in all actuality, in all technicality, through their father seed lines and through the spirit of the Most High, of making that everlasting spirit of Israel, because remember, energy never dissipates, and that, like, it never fully is destroyed. It just grows lower in the frequency and volume, all right, of how powerful it is. The spirit remains, and you have among those aforementioned boxers Israelite spirits, which makes them Israelite men, which makes them of the nation of Israel. All right, because you don't have, there's no such thing as an Edomite, You ain't gonna have what's his goddamn name, man? You're not gonna have it's that damn one Edomite. You're not gonna have is it Colbert? The Colbert report with that one devil with the beady eyes and the long ass pointy ass nose and the glasses and shit, man. I know it's two of them. One is so called Jewish, and the other is he looks like he could be Jewish too. But me personally, I think the guy that who says that he's Jewish, I think he's actually a Jake. Because whether you brothers believe it or not, you have Israelites that are among even the rats, even among the Amalekites, the so-called Jews. You have Israelites. All right. Like for instance, you have the female star within hip hop and all that, and a couple of nigga movies. You got Lauren London. Her father was a so-called Jewish guy, and her mother was the Invisible. You know, you brothers know who the Invisible is. The nappy heads. All right, the nappy head female dog. But anyway, Lauren London, she has a comely countenance. She has Israelite NB nigga woman personality, and that bear witness of what she truly is. She's truly an Israelite, even though her dad looks like an Edomite devil. You know, so that guy that used to be on Comedy Central, but now he's on I think one of the little nighttime shows that come on basic TV that's real popular and all that and shit. I think he's at like the Letterman show. He replaced him or whatever. Him and another guy. You know, that guy is a damn devil. He'll never beat up a Negro, an actual Israelite Jew. You'll never see him beating the shit out of Anderson Silva, because he's a goddamn devil. He's an Edomite. Now, if you put Chris Weidman inside there with Anderson Silva, you know, I think the first fight was strong, but the second fight was, I believe, a sincere fight. You will have him more likely again beat Anderson Silva. You know why? Because Chris Weidman is an Israelite, man, but he looks like an Edomite. Well, really, Chris Weidman, for example, he looks like he could be from a Latin tribe. And that goes to show, man, when you mix up certain mixtures, you could have Israelites that'll come out looking like the other nations. Like, for instance, Chris Weidman, he's probably mixed with a lot of those Germans with dark hair, German Edomites with dark hair, a lot of them Jewish Edomites with dark hair. Probably was a Negro that put his seed within their woman and eventually came out looking like a dude that's of Spanish descent. Same thing with Chris Humphries, the first husband of Kim Kardashian. His father and the mixed with so-called Edomite woman, perhaps Israelite foreigner, confusion to face woman. And Chris Humphries look like an Edomite, man. So does not only Chris Humphries, it's another guy too. I can't think of right now. Chris Humphries and Blake Griffin. You know, some people mistaking him for an Edomite. You know, he kind of looks a tad bit more Negroish, but he has that very pale skin and that light sandy brown or orange looking hair, man. Chris Humphries got the sandy brown looking hair, and the other guy, he has Blake Griffin has the orange hair. You know, so-called how Esau would look, you know, with the red hair as he's described in the scriptures. So going back to the scripture right here, the first epistle of John, chapter 4, verse 1, it says, try the spirit by the spirit. And sometimes you can see it in the Israelite foreigner and off the back and tell, like, man, that dude's an Israelite right there, man. You know, we even seen the elders of a Great Millstone do it. They'll see a guy like, yeah, he's an Israelite, man. And the reason why they say that without having to do much discernment, otherwise, like asking a whole bunch of questions, you could tell how the dude looks, how the spirit he comes up in, what apparel he's wearing, how his countenance is looking. You know, like this guy is an Israelite. But sometimes it's kind of difficult. You got to actually ask the Israelite questions, like, do you believe in the Most High, and other particular questions. But don't twist it. You could even have Israelites that say that they don't believe in God, because you have Negroes who are Israelites and obviously are Israelites, they're niggas, and they say they don't believe in God. Whatever foolish ass reasons they have, such as they had a bad life and God wasn't there. But nigga, you doing wickedness. You do wickedness every single day. You wonder why the Most High is not there for you. All right. But I digress. Going on to the next precept, which is the last precept for this breakdown lesson. This is Romans, the 2nd chapter, verse 15 on down. No, verse 14 down on the 15. So verse 14 down to 15. verse 14 down to 15. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. There are two sets of Gentiles. The word Gentile simply means to be of the same nature, the same genus, the same ethnicity, the same nature, the same genus, the same ethnicity. The word gentilis means to be a foreigner, which is the Latin word for Gentile. And another word for foreign means to be on the outside. You got on the outside non-Israelites, all right, because the Israelites of the temple, the outside, the heathens, the fieldsmen are the Gentiles. And sometimes you also have Israelites on the outside as well too, man. Whether they're excommunicated or whether they were born among the Gentiles, they're doing shit like the Gentiles, whether they look like the Gentiles or not, but are Israelites, you know, they could be considered Gentiles because they're foreign. They're on the outside of what's inside, which is the Israelites keeping the laws of the Most High and having faith in the Most High and in the works of his Son, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, who's Yahushua. So, for when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, for instance, you have not only the Israelite foreigners, but even the Negroes and Latinos who don't really know too much about the truth, don't know too much about the Bible. They know certain things about the Bible they hear from their parents, or when they learn at Sunday school when they were little, or they still go to so-called church of this world and they hear certain things, you know, certain things that they don't know that is a right thing to do. Certain things they don't know that that's a correct and right thing to do, like to not eat pork. They do such things. Certain things they know that is not a right thing to do or be, like to refrain from homosexuality and to abort. Basically, it's in their spirit to do it. Those things that they have no clue about, but have a nature of that thing of being righteous, which is that thing is the law, all right, which is righteousness. They having not the law, have the law in their heart unto themselves, man. And now I can give it a testimony. That's how I was back in the world. I did not like sodomites. And to this day, I still don't like sodomites. I don't like them at all. You know, in this world, you got to so-called be friendly and be at peace with all men as much as possible, as it tells you in the book of Romans. I hate sodomites, man. And it's a natural spirit in Israel to hate sodomites. And I had that spirit on me since I was a very young boy. I even had the testimony where my mother, my wicked nigga woman mother, man, she had let a sodomite live at her crib when I was staying there, and I had chased his ass off. You know, I was little too at that time. I was probably about like 15, 6. I think I was 15 at that time. I chased that motherfucker out the house with a bat, man. And you have Israelites, you know, with the natural spirit everywhere. The Latin tribes had that spirit to hate sodomites. The Negro tribes, you know, a lot of them are sodomites themselves, which is a goddamn shame nowadays. It's still in their spirit to see that as a weird and nasty thing to be and to do as an Israelite, or to be in the human form and do that shit in general is a nasty and unseemly, you know, strange thing to do at all. You know, and you got Israelites that are among the heathens, that look like the heathens, and they abhor homosexuality and things that have to do with sodomy and other wicked things. Like those Russians out there in Russia, they hate sodomites, man. You had videos from a couple of years ago of them beating the shit out of sodomites in public. which goes to show and tell you that a lot of them Russians are Israelites. All right? Like I aforementioned those Russian boxers, man. But going on to verse 15, it says, which shew the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or excusing one another. Like they'll feel guilty about something that they know they did wrong in their heart, whether they know it's the law or whether it's not the law. Because Israelites have that conscience towards the Most High to be right. Whether they try to make an excuse for themselves to continue doing that wickedness anyway, or whether they feel guilty and they don't do it no more, or whether they have the law or not. That's another way to tell who an Israelite confusion of face foreigner is, man. All right? But you have so-called white people out there who look like Edomites, look like Caucasians, but they will attest that they have an easier time in Babylon, pursuant to their physical appearance of looking close to Esau. You know, that really Judah and a lot of the Negro tribes that have the Negro appearance, that they have a hard time in Babylon. And there's a lot of, you know, discrimination that goes on to put them in a more fucked up position, or the messed up side of the pool, or left on the bad, worse side of the stick, the worser side of the stick, they understand that, man, because they have that conscience, they have their heart, which comes from the Most High, which basically reveals the fact that they're Israelites, even though they're of the confusion of faith banner, and they're of that appearance that is not of the original genuine Israelites that were of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But those are just signs when it comes to telling the confusion of faith Israelites, and, you know, to explain what the confusion of faith Israelite doctrine is. You have Israelites that look like other nations, and when we deal with them and our serving of the Lord, when we're out here teaching, or even when we're out and about, and it may comes up a time that we might mention the truth to these foreigners, that we have to bear with them to the best of our abilities. We have to deal with them, and if they don't come incorrect, we're supposed to deal with them. But otherwise, if they wouldn't come in correct, they come incorrect, being disrespectful and rude and talking shit, then that's when you go ahead and you cut them off. You know, you could call them a heathen if you want to, because they probably ain't gonna get it no way, because they're bucking up against the truth. But that's just the lesson that I wanted to touch on with the whole Israelite confusion of faith foreigner doctrine. And Lord willing, tomorrow, when I have a better opportunity and time and convenience to do the lesson, you know, probably do it at a park instead of where I'm at right now. I'm inside some restaurant doing this lesson, which is why I'm kind of doing it a little bit low in my voice tone. You know, I have more better convenience when I do tomorrow's follow-up lesson on touching on that you are whatever your father is within the scriptures, and also, which is a science within the Bible, a science of truth, obviously, and as well touching on more basics. We're likely going to touch on the next following lessons of cutting down some of the main stupid doctrines that you have within inside the so-called Christian church. So at that, I say all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, props, honors to you brothers who labor in sincerity and truth and diligence to the best of your abilities. Shalom.